Hi, Kathy. I wanted to see if I could help you with some of this works cited stuff. And I know you said that things are much clearer and you're on the right track. So hopefully this is just review for you. I took some of the works cited entries that were on your first set of note cards, and I wanted to walk you through a couple of things that will hopefully help you as you're moving forward. Um, as we're looking at this first citation here, David Beal, 10-year playground statistics, how are we doing? This is actually really, really well done, right? You've got the author's name here, followed by the title of that individual web page, which is great. Here you have the name of the overall website. You probably should spell it out, but since this particular page makes such a big deal about the acronym, I think you can probably get away with it. It's sort of a gray area. You followed that by the sponsoring organization, which is accurate, the date of access, the publication date, the web tag, and then the date of access. This is really good, so I put good next to it. The next one is also a website, but it's got a couple of issues, which I've highlighted in yellow. And so here I'll just leave up top the original citation, and then down below I want to go back and forth to the website and show you how to fix some things. I pulled up the website over here, and you're absolutely right. Alan Hammond is our author, and up here, Playground Injuries, Statistics, and Prevention is the title of this particular page. And you have that listed as your page, but you didn't capitalize all of the major words. So we need to go in here and capitalize the P of prevention. But other than that, it works really well. Next, we have More for Kids listed as the title of the overall website. And here is More for Kids, but up here they have More for Kids, Child Safety and Welfare, and that's a little clearer. So we're going to take that one instead. So we're going to add More for Kids, Child Safety and Welfare. Then the sponsoring organization comes next, More for Kids, Child Safety and Welfare. But that sponsoring organization should be down at the bottom of the page. It's who holds the copyright. And they have More for Kids Inc. listed. So we're going to change that to say More for Kids Inc. and delete this little piece here. Okay. Your publication date is right. Your web access or web tag is correct. Your date of access, all of that looks really good. As we're moving down, this one is the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services listed as your author. Typically, we don't use organizations and businesses as our authors unless it is a government department. And so that's fine, but we do need to make sure, again, that we're capitalizing all of these major words because, like an author's name, this is a proper noun. Okay, so just the S here of services. Then in the title works, but again, we have to capitalize all of those major words in there. Okay. You're going to want to, again, avoid these acronyms. Spell them out in the citation. It's a little bit clearer. Publication date, web tag, date of access, all of that is really good. Okay, so for the most part, aside from capitalization, this structure is great. When we get down here, the Offutt Air Force Base, this citation is problematic because I don't have enough information here to figure out which web page you actually used, right? So I know for sure that Offutt Air Force Base is not your author. There is likely no author for this page. So I'm actually going to start here. I'm going to take the title of the web page and then what should be the overall website. If I copy and paste that into my Google browser, I should be able to get back to this really easily. And I'm not sure that this is the page I want. This actually looks like it's probably not the page that I want. So it's difficult for me to tell you how to fix the citation when I can't get back to the original. If this is a page that just is really, really tricky to get to, then MLA does say to include your URL at the end of the source, but at the very least, we need to go back in here, make sure that you've got the title of the overall or of this individual page correct. Make sure you have the sponsoring organization or overall web page correct. Like there's no sponsoring organization at all yet. So let's say if there is no sponsoring organization, you use NP to say that there's no publisher. We're going to remove Offutt Air Force Base here because they are not your author. But then date of publication, web tag, date of access are probably fine. Right, so double check these two pieces. You might include a URL. We have 3 sources that are listing the United States as their author, and that's not ever going to be your author. Okay. Center for Disease Control and Prevention is also probably not your author. Though, again, that's sort of a gray area. That's sort of a government department. So if you feel strongly about it, then you can list them that way. But I think you're better off not doing that. So I want to go back to this page and take a look. You'll notice when I Google this one, the first page that comes up is most certainly the page that you used, right? And that's really, really helpful. When I have no author, because they have not listed a person or an individual as the author, then I will skip that piece and start instead with the title of the individual page, which is, in this instance, Falls the Reality. So I'm going to start a new citation here that says Falls the Reality, period, close my quotation marks. Then I need to give the title of the overall web page, which will go in italics. That's something that's not really happening here, right? You've given sort of 2 authors and then an overall web page. It's confusing. So the overall web page is this up here, Center for Disease Control and Prevention. So that will go in italics. Okay. We want the sponsoring organization next, which we're going to look for down here. And it's usually right next to whatever has the copyright. And you'll notice this is sort of an odd page. There is no copyright, date, sponsoring organization. And when that's the case, we use an abbreviation for no publisher. So we're going to say N period, P period. Okay, and then we move on. Your date of publication we can use. So well, actually let's check, because I'm looking at this seeing April 12th, 2012. I'm not sure where the March came from. I don't see the March. I think we'll use the April 12th unless you saw something I didn't see. So 12 April 2012. It's a web page, and our date of access, I think it's the 17th. Okay. That means these sources will need to change as well, right? Begin with the title of the web page, followed by the overall website, no publisher, and then your dates. With that said, I also want to address one more thing. Up here, you're using a lot of web pages. And up here, we have Alan Hammond's website that we looked at earlier. And while most of the websites you're using are actually really, really good, the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services, Offutt Air Force Base, Center for Disease Control are all incredibly reliable. This one has reliability issues, right? I question it. I wonder, could we have found this same information from a source that helps to build your credibility more? And I've noticed you aren't really using the databases. So I wanted to show you some stuff in the databases. I'm going to go to Metro's page, /library/databases. And I'm going to use Academic Search Premier, which is our default database. It's the biggest one that we have, and it's got really, really good stuff in it. I'm going to use the same username and login that I use to get into Angel. It's sometimes a little slow to load, but if you're just patient with it, it'll show up. Maybe I'll search for playground injuries. So I have 72 results related to playground injuries. And I actually have gone in and looked for these before I made the video. So there are some great ideas in here and some great research. This one in particular talks about, to some extent, how supervision is a component of preventing injuries, which ties right into your argument. It is an interlibrary loan item, but go ahead and request it. Those things usually are delivered via email, and they're delivered fairly quickly. So see what happens. And you can search through the rest of these as well. One of the really great things about the databases is that if you click on the title, most of them will have a full text option, so you can just read the article right away. They have an abstract that gives you a short summary of the article so you know whether or not it's actually useful for you. And then over here is a cite button, and I can click on the cite button and it will give me a works cited entry for all of my different styles. So if I scroll down to MLA, here it is, and I can just copy and paste that and then change my font and format and do all of those things. All right, one more thing. I wanted to talk about your internal citations. And again, I trust you when you say that you think you've got this all sorted out, but in case it's helpful, your parenthetical is going to use whatever comes first in this list. So here we'll use Beale. It's an electronic source, so there's no page number. Here, Hammond. Okay. When we get down to Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services, we actually have to spell that whole thing out at least the first time. I put a link in your outline that shows you what you need to do so you can start using this Nebraska DHHS, which is not something I have ever come across before, but there are guidelines that allow you to do that if that's something that you want to look into. For this Offutt source, we probably will be using the title of the web page, Offutt. Some days I spell things, Field House, right? But notice this is a title. So the title is in quotation marks in the citation, so it needs to be in quotation marks inside of the parentheses. Okay. Here, again, we'll use the title. Since it's in quotation marks, it will be in quotation marks in the parenthetical as well. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to email me. I can probably do another one of these videos if that's helpful, or if there are particular questions you have that are kind of tricky. So let me know. Thank you for working so hard. I really appreciate it.